Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Right now, someone in America is choosing between paying rent or buying food. And years from now, that same person might walk into the White House, not as a tourist, but as the president. Impossible? No, this is America. Hello friends, I am Jack. You are listening to Broken to the Best. Please subscribe to the channel. He lived in a one-bedroom rented apartment. Peeling paint, broken heater, bills stacked like silent threats. Every knock on the door felt like bad news. Collection notice, final warning, past due. He was young, but stress made him older. At school they laughed. President? You? You can't even fix your life. Those words burned. But sometimes humiliation is fuel. And he decided, if they think I'm small, I'll grow so big they can't ignore me. He worked double shifts, delivered food at night, studied under dim light. No applause, no spotlight, no shortcuts, just discipline. When friends were sleeping, he was building. When others were partying, he was preparing. He started helping people in his community, fixing problems no one cared about. He didn't chase power, he chased impact. And slowly, people trusted him. Not because he was perfect, but because he was real. But being real doesn't make the road easy. The more people noticed him, the more criticism grew. Who do you think you are? You're just a kid from a rented apartment. You don't belong in politics. And for a moment, the doubt came back. Late at night, sitting alone, he stared at the ceiling. What if they're right? What if I'm dreaming too big? But then he remembered something. Every major change in American history was started by someone who was told they didn't belong. He realized, if you feel uncomfortable, you're probably growing. He ran for a local office. He worked hard, knocked on doors, spoke in small community halls. Election night came. He lost. Not by a little, by a lot. People said, this is the end. Headlines ignored him. Supporters disappeared. Even friends suggested, maybe this isn't for you. That night was the hardest. He went back to his old apartment, sat on the same old couch, bills still on the table. For a few minutes, he allowed himself to feel the pain. But then he stood up. Failure is not a verdict. It's a lesson. He wrote in his notebook again, not yet, but one day. Instead of quitting, he improved. He studied leadership, public speaking, economics, history. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to deserve to win. He listened more than he spoke, visited struggling families, sat with veterans, spoke with single mothers choosing between rent and food. He saw himself in them. And that changed everything. This was no longer about ambition. It was about responsibility. Years later, he ran again. This time, something was different. People weren't just voting, they were believing. Crowds grew larger, volunteers increased, small donations poured in from ordinary Americans, not billionaires, not elites, regular people, because they saw one of their own, a man who knew what past due felt like, a man who knew what silence at the dinner table meant, and slowly he started winning. Local office, state position, then a national platform. But success attracts storms. Media attacked his past. Opponents twisted his words, old failures resurfaced, too inexperienced, too emotional, too different. Pressure was everywhere, security increased, schedules tightened, sleep disappeared. But remember this, pressure doesn't break diamonds, it creates them. Instead of responding with anger, he responded with clarity. Instead of fighting hate with hate, he answered with vision. And America listened. And America listened. Then came the unthinkable moment. He announced his run for president. Pundits laughed. Polls predicted failure. Experts said, "It's impossible." But he had heard that word before. Impossible was what they called his rent situation. Impossible was what they called his first campaign. Impossible was just another opinion. He traveled state to state, shook thousands of hands, looked people in the eye, and he told them one thing: "I am not better than you. I am you." That message spread like fire. The entire nation waited. Screens glowing, hearts racing. Results came in slowly, state by state, tension rising. Then finally victory. Tears filled his eyes. Not for power, but for proof. Proof that background doesn't limit destiny. Proof that a rented apartment can produce a president. When he stood on that stage, crowd cheering, flags waving, he said, "This victory belongs to every person who was ever told they weren't enough." The first morning as president, he stood outside the White House gates, took a deep breath. Flashbacks rushed in. The peeling paint, the broken heater, the collection notices, and he smiled. Because struggle had prepared him, not destroyed him. He whispered quietly, "This is for every kid who thinks their zip code decides their future."
Listen carefully. This story isn't about politics. It's about possibility. In the United States, your starting point is not your ending point. Your rent doesn't define your rank. Your failures don't cancel your future. The only thing that can truly stop you is the moment you decide to stop yourself. Maybe you're watching this in a small room. Maybe bills are stacked beside you. Maybe people doubt you. Good. Let them. Because one day the same people will say, "I knew them when." So tonight, don't quit. Don't shrink your dream to fit your situation. Grow your discipline until it's bigger than your fear. Because the next president might not come from privilege. They might come from a rented apartment. And they might be watching this video right now. If this story lit a fire inside you, like the video, subscribe to Broken to Best. And remember, greatness doesn't ask where you started. It asks, did you refuse to quit?